Hello, this is Andy from Falco Canine Academy. I'm here in Brea, California, of course, and we're going to be talking about pinch collars, so if they're humane or not, if they're evil, unnecessary pieces of equipment that are used for bad, or are they fantastic pieces of equipment that are used for good? And it's going to be hard for some of you, I think, because there's so many people that have strong opinions about some of these things, and so we're going to discuss those things in just a moment. But I want to talk about a few things that are happening right now in the United States that we all hopefully can have a hand in helping. And one of those things is the flooding that's occurring in Texas. What I understand is here in California, in San Diego, I've heard, I'm sure that's happening in Orange County too, that they're making room or trying to make room for some of the dogs and animals that are going to be lost or stranded or need a place to be because homes are being evacuated, and the horses and animals that are on the land that are leaving need a place to stay. And sometimes I think that they get separated, right? So if anybody can help, if anybody, I know I have lots of friends in Texas that aren't, because Texas is a gigantic state. You know, you hear a state, there's something happening in a state, we think the entire state is going underwater. You know, it's the Houston area, I think, primarily in the surrounding areas. But if there is room that you can make for some animals for until the human beings that belong to those animals can be, you know, brought back to their homes and given a place, I'm sure that that kind of that help would be necessary. And I wish I had, you know, located some number that I could have given you, but I'm sure it's so easy now that you can just do a search on Google to see how you can help the rescues, the animal rescues and shelters that are out there that are, I'm sure, are struggling to find room for all of these animals that are now homeless. So I know that's happening. We have a heat wave coming up, and I always got to remind people, and I know I shouldn't have to, but some of my best customers who I know love their dogs have lost dogs because of the heat, because the dogs in their kennel have knocked over the water. They don't have automatic watering equipment there for the dogs that doesn't get knocked over, that it's constantly available. And just take care, you know. I don't know if you need to zip tie your bowl, drill a hole in it and zip tie the hole to the fence there in the kennel. Do something. Make sure you have water for your dogs. It's going to be very hot over the next couple of days, and I know that I'm not. You know, some of you are like, why do you have to remind people to make sure and keep their dogs watered? You do, because we get very busy in our day. We got lots of stuff going on. We love our animals and that kind of stuff, and things happen. So a reminder: put a little Post-it note or something on your mirror before you leave to go to work to check your dog's water to make sure they have enough water. Right? Sometimes we don't do that. Have you ever come home? I think almost everybody has come home and found their water to be either knocked over or completely empty, and go, "Oh man, I got in such a hurry today and forgot to put water in my dog's bowl." Put out an extra bowl. That's another thing. Put another bowl somewhere nearby so the dog can find it so that he has water. And that would just be a great thing to do. A bucket. Go to Home Depot and get one of those big orange buckets and fill it up full of water. All right, and have it there available for your dog, and zip tie it to the water spigot so that it doesn't get knocked over, because they're going to reach in there and some dogs drink with their paws. Have you ever seen those dogs that splash the water? Some of you have those German Shepherds that get in the water and splash. Hey, Kim. Hey, Lola, Wolf, back right at you. And so that water is important. The heat of the cement and the asphalt. I see people, when it's 100 degrees out there, walking their dogs on the asphalt in the cement. It is hot, I'm telling you, for the dog's paws. And I'm no shrinking violet. I'm not a snowflake by any means. And I know there's some people out there that just don't think, right? They go for a run with their dog. It's 100 degrees out. I've seen people running in 100 degrees with their dog. Trust me, I've seen it. It's probably not the best thing to do. I'm telling you right now, because the dog doesn't get a choice. The dog's going along with you. Hey, they must, you know, they want to go for a run, and they're sure is hot. Do they know that I have a black coat? And it is hotter than hell, and they're trying to drag you to the shade because their fur is on fire. So my gosh, just be so considerate of your dogs. It's 100 degrees. It's going to be 100 degrees. It was 97 here today. So make sure they have water. Put a Post-it note, do something, tie a little string on your finger that reminds you to make sure your dog has water before you leave, especially if they're outside all by themselves for 8-10 hours a day because you're at work. Sorry, I have a lot of texts coming in right now. Now many of you are finding out why I don't return text, because it just doesn't stop. And then, you know, they go for a walk with their dogs when it's 100 degrees out. Please be considerate of your dogs. All right, let's talk about pinch collars today. This is one of the other most common questions that we have. If you need to, I would go back and watch my videos. Just scroll down and look for them on our training philosophy, as far as what technique we use, what equipment we use, and that kind of stuff. We touched on pinch collars and choke chains and electronic collars and gentle leaders and all these things are in those. But I'm going to talk specifically on this thing about pinch collars because it's misunderstood. It's, I believe, I think that an explanation needs to be presented to you about pinch collars so that you can make a really good decision. I know I have lots of trainers that watch our videos, and I know that there's people that feel strongly one way or another about pinch collars, right? And some, you know, think that you're the devil if you have a pinch collar. That's fine. I'm glad you're watching if that's you, because I want to talk through that just a little bit if I can. It'll never be solved. I mean, there's some days we're never going to change anybody's mind. And there's people that think that that's the only tool you can use. I know trainers that used to work for me that have left, started their own dog training business, and the only tool they use is a pinch collar and put it on every dog, even the dogs that where the dog doesn't need it and the human doesn't need it either. All right, so it's really, really important. Dang, I need notifications for these. Well, you hit subscribe there, Gina. Hit subscribe, and it'll send you a notification. You know, I also should probably schedule these, but I never know when I'm going to have time to do them, so I can't do that. Kim says, we don't work our girl in the heat. Let's see here. We don't work our girl in the heat. She's, wow, I need glasses, treated better than most humans. And yes, she's in a pinch collar. Nice. Okay, we're going to talk about that. How dare you, Kim? Gina says, dang, I need notifications. Jan Springer, my very first girlfriend. I love Jan Springer. Hey, Andy, do you still offer training? Yes. My neighbor's new puppy needs it desperately. You can message me. All right, I will do that. Look how beautiful Jan Springer is. Yes, I was in love in second grade, and still from then on, I've been in love. All right, so Jan Springer is there joining us. Thank you, Jan. Yes, we do, and I will private message you. All right, so I love you. I know there's probably time that you didn't love me, but I'm glad that you love me. I'm so happy to hear that. All right. All right, because I'm a goofy man. All right, so let's talk about these pinch collars. All right, so this is what a pinch collar looks like. If you're, in case you don't know, it looks very bad, right, off the dog. It looks kind of odd. All right, so this is a pinch collar meant for a very big dog, a very strong dog. You know, it's one of our police dog type of pinch collars. And this one is one that's probably more appropriate for most pet dogs that are a medium to large breed dog. So you see it's a little bit thinner gauge and that kind of stuff. This one is not a quick release, though. This one has to be put on by putting it on directly here. Oop, this one's actually bent because these things get bent. And we're going to talk about that. Yep, I can't get it on. It's because it's bent. I'll have to fix it first before I put it on there. This one is the quick release right here that goes on to this other chain. Some people don't know how to put these things on. So we're not going to really go through too much of that because I'll tell you why in just a minute. All right. And so what you do is you put this through the hole here. I just said I'm not going to show you how to use these things, but I'm showing you how to put this on. And then it goes on the chain after it goes through there. And that way, when you go to give a correction, it goes through here and causes that action, right? And causes the pinching action. All right. So let's talk first. I'm going to tell you why I'm not using this on a dog and showing you in just a minute. But let's first talk about what a pinch collar is. So a pinch collar isn't a gouging tool that goes in and gouges dogs, all right? Doesn't gouge the dogs. Yes, they can be used on humans, and I've used them on humans. All right? It is called a pinch collar because it's supposed to pinch the dog's skin. The only way that it pinches the dog's skin is if it's on properly, and that is snug and high, somewhere near the chin and the ears. So it needs to be snug enough so that it stays near the chin and the ears, right? It doesn't have to be so tight that it's choking the dog, but it has to be snug enough that it doesn't slip down around the shoulders down here where the lower part of the neck is actually the strongest part of the dog. And you get that down there where it's not pinching the skin and the dog is pulling against it. The dog actually could care less about that pinch collar when it's in that spot. So, so it needs to be high and tight if the human needs it with that dog. Now, why do I keep saying that? Because it's the human that needs the pinch collar to control that dog. It's not the dog needs a pinch collar. All right. And you can go back to watching one of my other live videos where I talk about this more extensively. And it's really important to understand the distinction. We suggest pinch collars, and yes, Falco Canine Academy will suggest a pinch collar based on the human being, not based on the dog. Based on the human being, not based on the dog. All right. That doesn't mean it goes on the human being, Jan. Where is that? Can that be used on a human being? And I said, yeah. I've actually put them on handlers, police dog handlers, so they can see what it feels like, and so that they can completely understand what it's all about. Yes, we have done that. I didn't do it later on because then people were suing the, it was crazy. You couldn't do what we used to do when I first started a police officer. We could do all kinds of stuff as a police officer in training police officers that you can't do now, like cuss at them. You can't cuss at cops now in the academy, which is really stupid. Oh yes. Oh, you're agreeing to that I'm dumb. I'm not dumb. I'm a dumb man. I agree. Can that be used on humans? Let's see, Jen Springer, you know what I mean. Yes. I need a demo of it on you. All right, Kim. Yes. All right. So that's how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to pinch the skin, not gouge the skin, and it should not spin on the dog's neck. I told you a story in one of the last broadcasts where I approached somebody at a pet expo several years ago, way back when I think I was still a police officer at the pet expo. I used to wear my uniform at the pet expo, and I suggested to a guy walking around with a pit bull with this pinch collar that was dangling down. There was space in between. I see this so often. I've seen it at some of the rescues and shelters that I've worked very close with, that you have this pinch collar just dangling down. You might as well not have it on the dog, because it's actually more dangerous to be on the dog when it's loose and not fit correctly. It is horrible. It spins and it gouges and it rips and tears on the skin, and it's just not a good thing. So I see this guy walking around with this pit bull, and I say, "Hey, excuse me, you had a beautiful dog there." As a matter of fact, what I wanted to say is that, there's a better way to wear that pinch collar so that it's safe for the dog. And he basically said, F you and mind your own business and get out of here. So it didn't go well. So I wouldn't suggest that you do that. No, don't leave the convo. We like you on the convo, Jan. All right. So yes, snug, tight in the correct spot. All right. The pinch collar is based on the human being, not on the dog. I'm going to get to the parts about the training in just a second. It needs to be in good condition. And you need to understand that you probably need to have another collar, a flat collar or a choke chain, more commonly a flat collar or a choke chain to go along with the pinch collar. I would never suggest that you would only have the pinch collar on the dog, because they break, they fall apart, they don't get completely linked on. And if you have a dog that's dangerous, that one of the reasons you have the pinch collar on is because the human needs it to control that dangerous dog. I would not trust the pinch collar by itself. You need to have either your leash connected to both the flat collar or the choke chain, or you need to have there's a safety cable that can connect those two things together. That way, if the pinch collar fails and comes apart, you'll still be connected to the dog and the dog won't get away. It's because these things fail so often. I was telling you that this one here, sorry about all the noise, that you can't see it, but see that the one on my right, and I think it's actually your left probably, is tweaked out to the right there. That's what happens. And it doesn't allow them to seat correctly inside of the little holes that go in there. And they come apart very quickly. It almost forces it to come apart. It's very, very easily engaged. On a pinch collar with a quick release, they are the best for getting on a dog, but these things sometimes when you put them on, they get clipped onto the chain like that, where it's not, there you go, where it's not completely in the hole, and it comes off just like that. I didn't even squeeze it. I just pulled it off. And you think for a while, because it's holding, that it's safe, and then the dog lunges, it comes apart, and your dog's off and running. So pinch collar should never be on all by itself, especially if you have a dangerous dog. They need to be snug and tight, and it needs to be in good condition. All right, and make sure those things are happening. Make sure you have a good leash to go along with that pinch collar. All right, so with all those things in mind, when the decision is made for us to use a pinch collar, it does not necessarily mean that the dog itself cannot be trained in other methods. It is quite often that I take a dog that is dangerous, that you consider dangerous, or a strong-willed dog or an aggressive dog or what have you, or a dog that just has such incredible play drive, desire that it's so hard to control that I can work that dog on a flat collar, not because I'm this fantastic trainer or person. It's just I've been doing this for a very long time, and I know how the timing what timing is required to connect with a dog. I know how to connect with dogs, and so the pinch collar isn't always the tool. I often take a pinch collar off and train a dog without a pinch collar that I otherwise give to somebody because the human needs a pinch collar with that dog. That happens all the time. And why is that? Why is there some dogs that require the human to use a pinch collar? It is because they have different beliefs and different levels of respect for different human beings that they are with. That is one thing. That is one thing that's really important. I get respect from dogs very quickly, not because I'm mean to them, but because they understand with me there's very strict rules and boundaries that I stick to and don't let up on. And right away, they figure out, hey, with this dude, I can't get away with crap. And you will see this happen all the time. I will take something off that the other people think the dog needs, and the dog is perfectly obedient with me. It is because of that sense. And I don't have any fear of dogs. I've been bit by big dogs, nasty dogs, and they've hung on me where they had to grab the dog by the testicle to get him off of me. And again, it has nothing to say about me or my personality. It's just that I've been doing it for a really long time, and the dogs realize that based on what I give them as far as my emotion and the energy coming from me, is that they're probably not going to get away with much with me. And so that's easy, right? So with some people, it's purely the opposite, right? They've been coddled. They've been led to believe that the dog is actually the dog believes that he's in control or she's in control, and that she's got to protect the rest of the pack. And so that adds undue stress because dogs don't like to lead. And when they have to lead, they become very aggressive. They become very uncomfortable. They become very fearful. When that happens, their pain tolerance goes up, where it's not as easy to control them because now they're strong and their adrenaline gets flowing, and now you need a little bit more pressure and a little bit more oomph to get through. And so when you're talking about a human being who is not a dog trainer, who has other jobs and responsibilities, and they don't think the same way as some of the people that are dog trainers that think the pinch collar is for evil. And that's kind of the thing you get from some dog trainers, that if you use a pinch collar, you're an evil person. Well, that's because you know how to control the dog. These people have a dog that they love, that in most other circumstances in the home, the dog is fantastic and they love their dog. Right? They've raised the dog from puppies, and they go, this dog, and maybe the dog's a service dog like Lola, which she says is great for me. She's one of those dogs, right? And I'm glad I saw that, is that Lola for me would act like doesn't have an aggressive bone in her body. I hand the leash to Kim or her daughter, and the dog acts very aggressive. It's an amazing thing that I've seen so much of my career, that this is what I'm talking about, is that with the human being, right? With me, that you would never see. We went on National Geographic and did a show with National. That dog never showed aggression that entire time that I was present. But I get reports when I'm not around, the dog can be aggressive, right? Because people like me give up their seat. Yes, I remember that at the hotel at the National Geographic filming. And I had to tell her that she was doing it. All right, so this is where this comes into play, right? And so I think it's very disrespectful of trainers and people to call out other people that have the tool that is required so they can continue a loving and respectful life with their dog, right? But they don't know, right? You don't know how the struggle is that these people have with their dog. It's like sometimes, and I'm like this right away, right? I'm in the restaurant with the family who has a kid who's out of control running around, right? And I'm going, what do they get up? Tell that kid to sit down. Punch that kid in the face and get him to sit down in that chair, right? Grab him by the back of the neck and say, sit down, and act like a human being. Quit acting like an animal inside this restaurant. The restaurant is not a playground, right? All that stuff, right? And I'm the first to my kids are sitting here eating properly and not yelling and screaming and not playing around inside the restaurant. Get control over your kids and stop being a snowflake, right? And so I'm very quick, but I don't know, maybe The kid has some behavioral problems. Maybe they've tried everything. Maybe they've gone to counseling. Maybe they've done all this stuff. And they just simply want to go out once with their kid. And they took a chance, coming to the restaurant thinking this is going to be the one night they're going to be able to do it. And the kid acts like crazy, right? And we're sitting there going, all right. Or in the airplane. Oh, my gosh, the people that bring their kids in the airplane. You should not fly if you have kids. I never fly with my kids. All right. So, it's just like that attitude, right? But we don't know. Maybe they're going to a funeral. Maybe who knows what's going on in their life, right? So as a trainer, when you see somebody with a pinch collar or as another person seeing with a pinch collar, you don't know, right? And it could be the very thing that keeps that dog in a home. It could be that thing that makes that home their forever home, as they call it in the rescue and shelter business. And that is the important part. Maybe it is the tool that human being needs to make sure that that dog doesn't bite somebody in the face. Super important. But you need to have a trainer that works with you that shows you how to use that collar properly to get consistency and maybe to a point where you can actually take the pinch collar off and not use it ever again. That does happen. Sometimes it never happens. Sometimes it is the thing that I talk about alcoholics a lot because alcoholics, sorry, Jen, I know you're sitting there drinking wine. I'm going to have a beer right after this broadcast, by the way, that you need something that just keeps you from walking into that, to walking into a bar and having another drink, whatever that is, right? Whatever that struggle is, it could be that, they give you those chips when you go to the A meetings, that you have a person that you call when you're feeling weak and that you want to have that drink. Whatever that is, you need that thing. This is a pinch collar for some dogs. It's just that's what the human being needs with that dog to be able to take that dog for a walk. If not for that pinch collar, that dog would be stuck in the backyard and never get out, or in a kennel or in a crate, right? And so it could be that tool. But the secret is that you need a trainer that shows you how to use it. Don't just simply buy the pinch collar at Petco or PetSmart or Your Belinda Feed or whatever it is you go to buy your equipment. Do not just buy that pinch collar and put on the dog and try to do something without at least a professional that knows what they're doing. A professional that knows what they're doing in regard to the pinch collar to help you with that pinch collar. If it costs you $75 to go to a trainer, $150 to go to a trainer to learn how to use that thing properly, I promise you it'll be worth more than that $150. Let's go on the high end. It'll be worth everything to learn how to use the pinch collar properly so that you can have a fantastic relationship with your dog. You can use the pinch collar to have a fantastic relationship with your dog. I promise you, especially if you're having a relationship that just says, oh my God, I love this dog, but I hate this dog. I love this dog at home when there's nobody else present and there's no other dog present. But I hate this dog because I can't take the dog for the walk because I'm afraid I'm going to come across a kid with a skateboard. I'm afraid somebody's going to ride by me on a bicycle. I'm afraid somebody's going to approach me with a little dog that I know my dog wants to kill. Right? I hate my dog in those situations, but I love my dog at home. How do you get that dog that you love in a situation that you feel comfortable with and confident in out in public? Take that dog places where not in the 107-degree heat, right? How do you take that dog out to the park? How do you take that dog out to places like Schlotsky's Deli, which I love to use because I love to say the word Schlotsky, or you go to PetSmart or Petco or Coffee Bean or wherever it is you take your dog, right? You want to be that person that can take that dog and sit there and chat with your folks, your friends, or your folks, right? And have that drink and have your dog sitting there by your side and know that you have that dog under control. Right? That dog that's without the pinch collar would never make it in that kind of situation. That would actually bite somebody or lunge at somebody or pull you over on that chair. Right? And so the pinch collar, when necessary, with the human being that needs it for that dog, can be the most humane, most loving thing you can do for the dog if it is actually what you need and it's worn properly. And you get the training from a professional that knows how to teach you how to use it properly so that it is humane, so that you barely have to even use it for a correction. That is the thing. The pinch collar can actually be one of those things that once you put it on the dog is perfectly fine. And you don't have to correct, you don't have to use it, don't have to put it into action. That is the beauty of the pinch collar sometimes, that if I put him on a flat collar or a choke chain, I'm constantly have to yank on that dog to get him to come back. He's always pulling and choking himself. He's doing all these things. But on the pinch collar, he doesn't do any of those things. What's more humane, right? I love these people that say, you put a pinch collar on that dog, how mean. But let me show you what it looks like when I put this flat collar on the dog. and the dog's trying to pull you over. You go, no, no, I can't stand. I put the dog at home, and I cannot stand this dog out in public when it has a flat collar. Right? What's better? Right? Put the pinch collar on a dog and not have to correct him, and he's perfect. She's perfect. Well, I don't keep saying he. I don't want to pick on the men. I don't want to pick on just that it's a male dog, because I have plenty of females that can use the pinch collar. Yes, and I'm talking about dogs, right? That can use the pinch collar. The human can use the pinch collar with that female. So I hope that makes sense. That there are so many dogs that the relationship just completely changes. Gina, who's one of our trainers for the Falco Canine Academy, Orange County, fantastic dog trainer, fantastic person. She runs that our academy over there just so fantastically, and she understands it. She just says that it can be power steering for these dogs, and that is the thing that we most commonly hear. Like, oh my God, why didn't I learn this before? There is one technique that I use for training, and I share this with my handlers from time to time, and that is I don't give people the pinch collar right off the bat, because there's some aspect of that. We don't want to be too quick to put the pinch collar on a dog, because we may find out that it's not the thing that needs to be used, right? And so we try to maybe work around this a little bit, so that when we do use the pinch collar, it's just like this complete switch of mindset. Because some people, well, I want to use anything but the pinch collar because it just sounds so bad. And I know that my sister says if I put a pinch collar on that dog, that it's going to be, she's going to disown me. All right. So they already come there with a preconceived idea that we're going to put a pinch collar on a dog and it's going to be horrible and people are going to hate them. Right. We allow them to struggle for a couple of weeks. Those of you that are watching that maybe have been in that situation where we've not given you the pinch collar on the first day, it's because of that, right? We want you to get to a point where when we put the pinch collar on the dog and show you how to use it properly, because it's what you need as the human being, that you'll be going, oh my gosh, how come you didn't give this to me the first day? Well, you weren't ready, right? You, the human being, weren't ready for us to put the pinch collar on your dog to help you. We wait until you're ready. Right? Because it is so much to do with the human being and has so very little to do with the dog. And it's so, so important. Let's see what's going on here. There's a lot of things. Jan's cracking herself up. Yep, it's freaking hot here and I need a drink. Oh, I need to hydrate. Really? Can you hydrate with wine? Maybe. My doggies are waiting patiently for a run in the hills. Golf cart sounds good right now. Nice. All right, Kim, what do you say here? Lola is a testimony to how it can change everything. Kendall couldn't control her on the field in training and looked like she had been mauled to death. It changed everything. Nice. And that is the truth, right? It's not that we did not give you all the tools, right? We don't purposely not give you the tools to have success. We tried to make it work with the situation that you come with, or the dog, works with me under, right? And try to make that work for you too. When it doesn't, there's really no choice, because if we don't, you are going to be scratched and hurting, and you're just going to say, oh my God, I hate this dog. I need to get rid of him, right? People are so quick to get rid of dogs sometimes. And people are going to say, well, then the pinch collar, if you're going to use a pinch collar, then you might as well get rid of the dog. No. People love Lola. Lola has saved Kendall's life more than I think half a dozen times, from what I'm just guessing off the top of my head. It's a peanut detection dog. Lola has saved her life, right? Lola was found in a crack house in Compton, I believe. And this dog has made a difference in this family's life, right? If it wasn't for the pinch collar, I'm not sure where they would be. Right? It has allowed the dog to continue to save Kendall's life. It is a dog that has been allowed to continue to live in their home, and they love that. The dog has its own Facebook page, my God, right? And so when given the right tool and given the right training and shown how to use something properly, it creates all that, right? Again, I'm going to go back to the people that just pshaw stuff, right? I know trainers who are those purely positive trainers. I'm going to go back to the purely positive people for a while, that are purely positive trainers, or I'm never going to put them that call us or send people to us because the dog does not fit into their very narrow way of training, right? It's easy for them to say, oh, well, I would never use a pinch collar, but we'll send them to another trainer because I know that that's the thing that this dog needs, or, with this human being, right? They're very quick to send the dog to another trainer because they don't want to be caught. Well, we know this dog and human being combination, the pinch collar is the place to go, but we're not going to do it because we don't want to sully our reputation by saying pinch collars are horrible things. And if that's you, that's just the way life is. So, but again, it's not to say that just put a pinch collar on your dog if he's strong and overpowering you. It may not be the thing. It could be just simply that you don't understand how to get control over your dog because you just don't know how to get control of your dog, right? It's not to say that the pinch collar is the end all be all tool. It is the pinch collar an inhumane tool? It absolutely can be. Just like the choke chain can be an inhumane tool, just like the gentle leader. The gentle leader can be an inhumane tool for your dog. A harness can be an inhumane tool for your dog. A flat collar can be an inhumane tool for your dog. An electronic collar can be an inhumane tool for your dog. All of them, except for the gentle leader, can be fantastic for your dog, given the right human being and given the professional training that needs to be done to show you how to use it properly. And it doesn't necessarily mean you need to spend thousands of dollars to get trained. It just means you need somebody that will show you how to use it properly and in the proper way. We're getting lots of comments here. This is a very popular subject. I can't wait to see how many people are watching this. Does it matter how old you start with the pinch? No, Karen. Thank you, Karen, for that. Karen Fish. Does it matter how old you start with a dog? I'm assuming you're talking about the dog. No. Again, it's just about the human being. Where is the human being in this stage of the dog's life? Have we tried things that don't work? What is it that's happening with this dog? Is it a matter of getting the dog's attention through discipline, right? I haven't even really talked about that. If we're going to talk about operant conditioning involves, either apply a correction to get a behavior to stop, or you give a reward to get to have a dog repeat a behavior, whatever that is. If you need that in regard to operant conditioning, that the thing that you need is to give that dog some type of compulsion to stop doing something. If the pinch collar is the tool that makes that happen with the human being that they're with, then absolutely that's the pinch collar should be used, regardless of how old the dog is. In some cases, the pinch collar is the best thing for an older dog who has some aches and pains. Could be, again, just bear with me for one moment, because a choke chain does this to the bottom of the neck, right? A flat collar does this to the bottom of the neck. The pinch collar pinches the skin, right? And then allows to keep pressure off of the trachea. The pinch collar can keep pressure off of the trachea. On an older dog, that could be very dangerous because, as everybody does, we get a little bit frail. Things get to be a little bit more sensitive. And so in some cases, we may need to keep some pressure off that trachea because maybe it's been damaged from abuse. Maybe there's been something else. And the pinch collar actually is the tool that will help them get through the rest of their life without putting pressure on that trachea. And so it depends. So it's hard to make blanket statements that because it can only be used for young dogs or it needs to be only, we put old dogs on harnesses. No, it just depends on what it is we're trying to accomplish. In regard to operant conditioning, it could be that we need a correction. We need some type of negative impulse to teach the dog to stop doing something. And it doesn't have to be painful. It doesn't have to be something that causes injury. It's just something that needs to get through the pain tolerance, right? The adrenaline that's flowing when it comes to dog fights or dog aggression, right? We need to bring it up a little bit, right? Saying stop doggy when the dog is going nuts is not going to get your dog to stop. So you need something that's going to break through, and you need to have timing. Timing is really important. If you can get that correction in, that discipline, that compulsion in when the dog is thinking about it, you hardly have to do anything. A little flick of the wrist is enough to get the dog to stop. If you're using two hands, I don't care what tool you're using, you're too late, right? There may be a time where I was looking at something. I think I showed a video not too long ago where the dog found out that, hey, Andy's not paying attention. He started pulling really hard. It was a Belgian Malinois, and he pulled me over. I actually almost fell over because he found out that I wasn't paying attention, right? And so timing in that case was off, and I wasn't ahead of the game. I wasn't getting into the dog's head. I allowed the dog to beat me mentally, and so then he beat me physically. Right? So if you can beat the dog mentally first, beat him to the punch before it becomes physical, you're way ahead of the game. The pinch collar will allow you to do that. You tell the dog, hey, stop thinking that just with a flick of the wrist. It's just a little tink, little quick thing. Hey, the dog goes, I know what's next. All right. And the dog stops. And that's where the power of the pinch collar is fantastic. When you can use it, get in the dog's head, it's just a simple flick of the wrist. And sometimes you don't have to do anything. It's the dog on his own hitting the end of that leash who gets the correction and comes back and says, I'm sorry. I did not mean to do that. I'm going to try to not make that happen again, right? And so it becomes a little bit more of a mental game. Really, the pinch collar, now that I'm talking about this, and I'm not sure that I've actually spoke this out in the air before, is that the pinch collar is actually a lot more a mental thing than it is a physical thing. If it becomes physical, then you're way too late. You're not using it properly. We really want the pinch collar to be the mental thing. The dog, it's again, to the alcohol. It's the thing that the alcoholist said, man, if I have that drink, it's going to hurt. Right? So as you're walking dog down and the dog sees that kid on the skateboard, if I try to attack that kid on that skateboard, it's going to hurt. I'm going to continue walking and walk with my right shoulder in line with my human's left leg, because I know that's the safe place for me to be. And that's a good place. And that's a mental game, right? If the dog sees another dog and says, normally I would be at the end of the leash and trying to eat that dog, but I know if I do that, it's going to hurt. So I'm going to walk along with my right shoulder in line with that left leg. Mental game, right? And so if you use it properly, where you get into the dog's head and you use operant conditioning in the way that it's meant to be used, where you use the right amount of pressure, right amount of compulsion to teach a dog to not to do something, the pinch collar is a perfect tool. Humane. And if you are seek a professional that shows you how to use it right, humane. If you wear it properly, humane. Right? If it's operating properly in good working order, it is humane. And it is the best thing sometimes for a relationship. If you use it in the manner that we just spoke about. If you use it any other way than that, inhumane, and you need to get some help with your dog. All right. Did I go on long enough? I'm going because Jan's going. She's lost interest in what I'm saying. Good night, Jan. Great informative video. Message me on the training. I will do that. And yes, anybody else, if you need a report that I have called Training with Love and Respect, just click on the link that's in the comment. It's either in the comment or the title. I'm not sure where BeLive puts that. It has a section for me to put that. Just look for that link that you will see on there. Maybe I can post it in here. Wow, we got a lot of comments. I really appreciate the comments. That's so helpful. I have realized that the nighttime broadcasts of Falcon Academy get a lot more engagement than any other time. So I may have to remember to continue to do these in the evening. And again, as always, send your topics. Reply just right here. Even if it's a replay that you're watching, just because I do see those from time to time, reply and tell me what it is that you want to see. And want to hear about. I'm going through some of the frequently asked questions we get at Falcon Academy in regard to dog training. And this one was on the humanity of the pinch collar. I hope you enjoyed it. I want to thank everybody for joining me, Kim and Jan and Gina, and who else? I'm so sorry. There were other people on here. Oh my gosh, I already lost the other lady, Karen Fish, and anybody else. I know there's lots of people watching, and I can't, but those are the people that I see commenting on the Falcon Academy page. We're syndicating on a bunch of other pages. If you ever want to learn anything about live streaming, marketing, Facebook marketing, that kind of stuff, I have other channels called Create, Launch, and Profit, the Facebook Live TV show, Fearlessly Successful. Go on those Facebook pages if you want to learn a little bit about marketing. If you're wondering how we do all this stuff, I've been sharing my screen. I've been doing whiteboard stuff. I've been doing all kinds of other stuff. So I know that sometimes people will go, how'd you do that? How are you doing that? If you want to learn about that stuff, just go on some of those Facebook pages or private message me, and I will do my best to get back to you. I shouldn't say that because I'm horrible at responding to private messages. But thank you, Gina. I really appreciate it. And thank you for listening to my rants. And I am strong on these subjects, and I will be strong. And I love people that are strong on their views too, even if it's not necessarily my view. And I want to hear from you too. So feel free anytime to just say, you know what, I don't agree with you, and put it in the comment section. And I just want to hear from you. I've got some really nasty private messages. They want to do it in private messages, right? Nobody wants to do it, here. Feel free to do it here. I'm happy to get it. I've got a few, but not very many. I get way more in my private message. I should someday share one I got from one of my former employees. It was awesome. He must think that I'm homeless because he says that I'm, what was I doing? I was doing something with my flip-flops and said something, that I'm obviously hurting. No, I just unfortunately go on video with flip-flops on when I'm doing dog training, but it is hysterical. So please feel free to share this with your friends if they have dogs and have shared with you. Gosh, I don't know if I want to put that. Share this video, like this video, and subscribe to the video. That way you get notification that we're going live. All right, that is it. Thank you, Gina. I appreciate you watching. As always, keep up the great work over there at Falcon Academy, Orange County. I really appreciate it, and I'm glad we have full classes at the OC, and that's the way I like it. I love full classes. They are it's awesome, and there's nothing better. I know I was going to sign off a couple times, and here I am ranting on. But you just remind me that those full classes, I'm like I said, I remember having a lot of people, and one day we had way too many people. We had to break it up into almost 3 classes. But that first day, the first day of everybody stepping on the field when you have a full class is just so awesome because the dogs are out of control. We get all the dogs that kicked out of all the other dog training programs. Like I told you, the people that can't, the trainers that say, well, we don't do that. So your dog doesn't fit in, go somewhere else. They come to Falcone Academy. And so that day we get all the worst of the worst, and the dogs want to eat each other and other people and that kind of stuff. It is fantastic. It is a fantastic time. And then 7 weeks later, you've got all the dogs weaving in and out, shaking hands. It is awesome. You know, my adrenaline would flow. The heart would pound. You'd see people get on their cars. Dogs would be running around. They're chasing their dogs. Come here, Fluffy. Come here, Fluffy. The dog's running right towards the big aggressive dog. And it is just, that doesn't happen very often, but it has happened. It doesn't happen very often. So those of you, when you come to class, have your dog on a leash. As a matter of fact, we tell you to put your dog on a leash before you leave your house. Put the dog on a leash. And sometimes I tell people to shut it in the door. That way, when you go to get out, you grab the leash on the outside of the door that's hanging there at the top. You open the door, and the people already have the hold of the leash. That's really a good thing to do. All right. So put your dog on leash. Put it on the collar. Well, it should be a flat collar probably. That's on snug, so it doesn't slip off the dog's head. You put the dog in the back seat of the car. If you're not going to put your dog in a crate, you should put your dog in a crate. But if you don't, put the dog in the back seat. Hold on to the leash as you shut the door from, and have it on the outside. And that way, when you go to get your dog, you grab the leash first, get a good grip on it, open the door, and now you don't have to worry about getting your leash on the dog as the dog slips through your legs and runs out and goes and visits the mean dog that hates other little dogs, right? That is a great thing to do. Put the dog in a crate is what you should do. And then same thing, put the leash, and then close the crate with the leash hanging on the outside, because you're going to open the door, then you don't have the crate, and it's going to go out. Jamie says no. That's finally somebody that just has a response that is what it is that we need to have the contrary statements, right? Because that's what fuels us. That's what makes these things interesting. And I appreciate Jamie saying that pinch collars are not humane. At least that's what I'm gathering from the no. So, and that's great. So if Jamie, if you missed all the rest, maybe it'll change your mind. Maybe it'll make your thought on that even more firm. But I would suggest watching, because we're just ending this broadcast. And so you might want to watch the rest of it. That's fine. I love that. I just wish we would have this discussion earlier, but I've been on long enough. I think we've been on for, I don't see the counter here, but I'm sure it's on there somewhere. So just go ahead and watch the rest of it. And if you still feel the same way at the end of this broadcast, then go ahead and feel free to put your comments why you think that I'm wrong, and that would be great. That would be a great discussion to have on the next broadcast. And so I appreciate you, Jamie, joining us and giving us your opinion, and Kim and Gina and everybody else who decided to join us. That's fantastic. Chad. 43 minutes. Wow. I've gone on for 43 minutes talking about a pinch collar. That is crazy. I was thinking, well, this is going to be really short, like 15 minutes long. So thank you, Chad. All right, guys, that is it. Guys and gals, I will see you at the next one. And thank you very, very much. Hey, Patty. Used correctly. Yes. Thank you, Patty. Yes. That's what we talked about. All right, Patty Farron, thank you for joining us. I'm getting ready to sign off. And wow, I'm sweating. I'm so excited. All right. I'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye.